The dying light. The morning sun cast long shadows across the crystal fields of Sirian 7 when the first explosions lit up the sky. Elena Santos was reviewing production reports in her office when the windows shook and alarms began screaming throughout New Harmony Colony. She dropped her coffee mug and rushed to the observation deck, her heart sinking at what she saw above. Black ships hung in the sky like metal vultures, their hulls reflecting no light. Bright flashes erupted from their weapons as they systematically destroyed the colony's orbital defense platforms. Each explosion sent debris raining down like burning snow, and Elena watched helplessly as 3 years of careful construction vanished in minutes. Administrator Santos to Command Center. She spoke into her communication device, trying to keep her voice steady. "What's our status?" "Ma'am, we've lost all satellite coverage," came the reply from Communications Officer Sofia Reyes. "The attackers took out our defense grid first. We're running on emergency power for the shield generators." Elena ran through the corridors toward the command center, her mind racing. New Harmony was supposed to be safe, protected by Earth's colonial defense treaties. The mining operation here produced rare minerals needed for faster-than-light drives, making it valuable but not strategically important. Why would anyone attack a civilian colony? The command center buzzed with activity when she arrived. Chief Security Officer Marcus Chen stood at the tactical display, his scared face grim as he studied the enemy positions. At 35, Chen was a veteran of the Outer Rim conflicts, one of the few people in the colony with actual combat experience. "Report," Elena ordered, taking her position at the command console. "Shadowclaw Empire ships," Chen said, pointing at the display. 15 heavy cruisers, 20 destroyers. They're positioning for orbital bombardment." He paused, his expression darkening. "Elena, we have maybe 6 hours before they finish with the orbital platforms and turn their attention to us." Elena felt her stomach drop. The Shadowclaw Empire was notorious for its brutal conquest methods. They didn't take prisoners. They took slaves. Every world they conquered became a source of forced labor for their war machine. "How many people do we have in the outer settlements?" she asked. "About 12,000, replied Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the colony's chief mining supervisor. "Most are families of workers, including children." Her voice cracked slightly. "Elena, our security force has maybe 200 people with basic training. The Shadowclaw will have thousands of soldiers." Elena closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of all the families who had come to Sirian 7 seeking a better life. Children who played in the Crystal Gardens, parents who worked hard to send money back to Earth, elderly folks who had retired to the colony's peaceful valleys. None of them deserved what was coming. "Begin immediate evacuation to the underground shelters," she ordered. "Move everyone from the outer settlements to the main colony. How long can the emergency bunkers sustain our population?" 2 weeks, maybe 3 if we're careful with resources," Chen replied. "But Elena, if they control the surface, they can cut our air supply or pump poison gas into the tunnels." "Then we don't let them control the surface," Elena said firmly. "What do we have for weapons?" Chen pulled up another display. 200 security officers with standard plasma rifles. About 50 mining lasers that we can convert to weapons. The mining charges could be rigged as explosives. He shook his head. "It's not much against a military force. It's what we have," Elena replied. "Make it count." Over the next hour, the colony transformed from a peaceful mining settlement into a fortress. Families packed essential supplies and moved toward the underground shelters, while security teams established defensive positions using mining equipment as cover. The crystal processing plants were shut down, and their power was redirected to the colony's shield generators. Dr. Tanaka proved invaluable in organizing the defense. Her knowledge of the mining equipment helped the security teams understand how to weaponize industrial tools. Heavy drilling units became mobile weapons platforms, and mining charges were rigged to create explosive barriers. "The good news is that they'll have to come to us," Chen explained to Elena as they watched the preparations. "The crystals they want are deep underground. They can't just blast the planet from orbit without destroying what they came for. What's the bad news? Elena asked. Everything else, Chen replied grimly. The first wave of Shadow Claw forces landed at the colony's outer perimeter as the sun reached its zenith. Elena watched from the command center as enemy dropships disgorged hundreds of soldiers in black armor. The aliens moved with mechanical precision, their weapons cutting through the colony's outer defenses like hot knives through butter. Security Team 3, fall back to Checkpoint Alpha, Chen ordered into his communicator. Don't try to hold those positions, just slow them down. Elena felt helpless watching the tactical display as red markers representing enemy forces advanced steadily toward the colony center. Each blue marker that disappeared meant one of her people was dead or wounded. These weren't soldiers. They were miners and technicians and administrators fighting for their lives with improvised weapons. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from the residential district," Sophia called out. "Families are reaching the shelter entrances, but some of the elderly and disabled are having trouble making the journey. Send security teams to help with the evacuation," Elena ordered. "Priority goes to getting civilians to safety." A massive explosion shook the command center, and the lights flickered. Elena grabbed her console to steady herself as chunks of debris fell from the ceiling. "Direct hit on shield generator 2, reported Chief Engineer Carlos Mendez. "We're down to 60% power." Elena made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. Shut down power to the outer residential areas. Reroute everything to the main colony shields. "But Mom, there are still people in those areas," Sophia protested. "And there are 75,000 people in the main colony," Elena replied, her voice barely a whisper. "Sometimes you have to choose who lives." The battle raged for hours as Shadow Claw forces pushed deeper into the colony. Elena watched Security Officer Maria Gonzalez use a mining laser to hold off 6 enemy soldiers, while a family with young children escaped to a shelter entrance. The beam from her weapon glowed bright red as it cut through alien armor, but there were too many enemies. Elena saw Gonzalez fall just as the shelter doors closed behind the family she had saved. "Shield power at 30%, Mendez reported. "We're losing generators faster than I can reroute power." Elena looked at the tactical display one more time. Enemy forces controlled 60% of the colony surface. Her security teams were down to less than 100 effective fighters. The shield generators were failing. In a few hours, the Shadow Claw forces would reach the underground shelters. "Sophia, patch me through to the emergency communication array," Elena ordered. "Ma'am, the main communications tower was destroyed in the first wave," Sophia replied. "We only have the backup transmitter, and its range is limited. Then boost it with everything we have. Drain power from life support if necessary." Sophia's fingers flew over her controls. "Ready, ma'am. But I should warn you, the Shadow Claw jamming is very strong. The chance of anyone receiving a clear signal is minimal." Elena picked up the microphone with trembling hands. This might be the last message New Harmony ever sent to the outside universe. She thought of all the families hiding in the underground shelters, all the children who might never see another sunrise, all the dreams that would die with this colony. "This is Administrator Elena Santos of New Harmony Colony on Sirian 7. She began, her voice carrying across the void of space. "We are under attack by Shadow Claw Empire forces. 75,000 civilians are trapped and in immediate danger. Our defenses are failing. The enemy shows no mercy to non-combatants." She paused, fighting back tears. "If anyone receives this message, please remember us. Remember that we fought for the right to live free. Remember that we never gave up hope." She released the microphone button and looked around the command center. Her remaining staff watched her with a mixture of fear and admiration. They all knew this was probably the end, but they would face it together. "All units, this is Administrator Santos," she announced on the colony-wide communication system. "To every security officer, every civilian, every person who calls New Harmony home. We are facing our darkest hour, but we are not facing it alone. Look around you. See the courage of your neighbors. See the determination of those who refuse to surrender their freedom. We may be outnumbered, but we are not outmatched in spirit. Another explosion rocked the command center, and Alina could hear the distinctive sound of Shadowclaw plasma weapons getting closer. Through the observation windows, she could see alien soldiers advancing through the colony streets, their weapons casting eerie shadows on the walls. "Hold the line," she continued, her voice growing stronger. "Protect the innocent. Fight not just for today, but for the future. Somewhere out there, someone heard our call. Help is coming. We just have to hold on a little longer." But as the enemy forces closed in and the shield generators failed one by one, Alina wondered if her words were just empty hope. The universe was vast and dark, and New Harmony was just one small light among billions. Would anyone even know they had existed when the Shadowclaw Empire was finished with them? In the depths of space, far beyond the reach of Shadowclaw sensors, a massive ship detected the faint signal from Sirian 7. The message was broken and weak, but 3 words came through clearly: civilians in danger. On the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike, Captain James Rodriguez heard those words and felt something awaken in his chest. It was the same feeling he had carried through 5 years of war in the Outer Rim. The same fire that had driven him to become one of Earth's most decorated naval officers. It was the absolute certainty that no innocent person should face evil alone. "All hands, this is the captain," Rodriguez announced over the ship's communication system. "We have a situation." Thunder from the void. Captain James Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike, his weathered hands gripping the command rail as he stared at the tactical display. The massive Dreadnought-class warship had been patrolling the outer colonies when the distress signal from Sirian 7 reached them, faint and broken, but carrying a message that made his blood run cold. "Civilians under attack. Distance to target," Rodriguez asked, his voice cutting through the bridge's controlled chaos. 3.7 parsecs, sir," replied Navigator Lieutenant Commander Walsh. "At maximum burn, we can reach Sirian 7 in 18 hours. Rodriguez's jaw tightened. 18 hours might as well be 18 years if civilians were dying. "Commander Mitchell, what's our engine status?" First Officer Sarah Mitchell stepped up beside him, her tablet displaying engineering reports. "Chief Williams says he can push the fusion drives to 120% capacity. But sir, that's beyond safe operational limits. We risk catastrophic engine failure." "And if we don't push the engines?" Rodriguez asked. "Those 75,000 people die," Mitchell replied quietly. Rodriguez had served in the Colonial Navy for 22 years. He had fought pirates in the asteroid belt, faced down slave raiders in the Outer Rim, and commanded ships in 3 different wars. But he had never forgotten the oath he took when he first put on the uniform: to protect those who could not protect themselves. "Chief Williams, this is the captain," he spoke into his communicator. "I need everything you can give me. Push those engines past Redline if you have to." The response came back immediately in the gruff voice of Chief Engineer Roberto Williams. "Captain, if I push these drives any harder, we might not have a ship left when we get there. Better to arrive in pieces than not arrive at all," Rodriguez replied. "Do it." The Thunderstrike shuddered as its massive engines roared to life at dangerous levels. Throughout the ship, crew members felt the deck plates vibrate under their feet as the dreadnought accelerated beyond its design specifications. Rodriguez could hear the strain in the ship's superstructure, but he pushed those concerns aside. Somewhere ahead in the darkness, innocent people were fighting for their lives. "All department heads to the bridge," Rodriguez ordered. "We need to plan for multiple scenarios." Within minutes, the ship's senior officers had assembled. Lieutenant Alex Park, the fighter squadron commander, stood at attention despite the obvious concern in her eyes. Dr. Lisa Chen, the ship's medical officer, held a tablet containing casualty projections that made grim reading. Weapons Officer Commander Tom Bradley reviewed the latest intelligence on Shadowclaw Empire tactics. "Here's what we know," Rodriguez began, activating the main display. New Harmony Colony, 75,000 civilians, under attack by Shadowclaw forces. Last intelligence estimates put their fleet strength at 15 to 20 ships. "Sir, that's a significant force," Commander Bradley observed. "The Thunderstrike is powerful, but against those odds." "Against those odds, we do what humans do best," Rodriguez interrupted. "We fight smarter, not just harder." "What's the tactical situation?" Lieutenant Park stepped forward. "My fighter squadrons can provide support, but sir, Shadowclaw ships have heavy point defense systems. Getting close enough to do damage will be costly." "Then we don't get close," Rodriguez said. "We make them come to us." "Chief Williams, I need everything you know about Shadowclaw ship design." The chief engineer's voice came through the intercom. "Their ships are built for intimidation, sir. Heavy armor, powerful weapons, but they're not very maneuverable. They rely on overwhelming firepower and numbers, which means they'll expect us to either run or charge straight at them," Rodriguez mused. "Commander Mitchell, start working on a battle plan that does neither." For the next 16 hours, the Thunderstrike raced through hyperspace while its crew prepared for battle. In the engine room, Chief Williams and his team performed miracles of engineering, keeping the overloaded fusion drives from tearing the ship apart. Fighter pilots ran constant simulations, preparing for combat against superior numbers. Medical teams set up emergency treatment centers, knowing they might soon face massive casualties. Rodriguez spent those hours studying everything the Colonial Navy knew about Shadowclaw tactics. The aliens were ruthless and efficient, but they followed predictable patterns. They relied on fear and overwhelming force, expecting their enemies to break and run. They had never faced an enemy that refused to be intimidated. "Captain, we're approaching the Xerian system," announced Navigator Walsh, dropping out of hyperspace in 60 seconds. "All hands, this is the captain," Rodriguez announced over the ship's communication system. "We are about to enter combat against superior numbers to protect innocent civilians. This is what we trained for. This is why we wear the uniform. Show them what happens when they threaten our people." The Thunderstrike dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Xerian system, and the tactical display immediately filled with red markers. 35 Shadowclaw warships hung in orbit around the planet, their weapons trained on the surface. Even from this distance, Rodriguez could see the fires burning in New Harmony Colony. "Enemy fleet composition?" he asked. 20 heavy cruisers, 15 destroyers, sir," reported the tactical officer. "They're in bombardment formation around the planet." "Any sign of colonial defenses?" "Negative, sir. It looks like they've been completely destroyed." Rodriguez felt a cold fury building in his chest. The Shadowclaw had come to a peaceful mining colony with enough firepower to level a military base. This wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. Weapons, charge all rail guns and missile tubes. Fighters, prepare for immediate launch. Communications, patch me through to the enemy fleet. Channel open, sir. Rodriguez's voice carried across space to every Shadowclaw ship in the system. "This is Captain James Rodriguez of the United Earth ship Thunderstrike. You are attacking civilians under the protection of the Colonial Defense Treaty. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The reply came from the Shadowclaw fleet commander, his voice filled with alien arrogance. "Human vessel, you are outnumbered 35 to 1. Leave this system or be destroyed with the colonial rebels." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Then you don't know humans very well." The first salvo from the Thunderstrike lit up space like a newborn star. 6 rail gun rounds, each traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, struck the nearest Shadowclaw heavy cruiser before its crew even knew they were under attack. The alien ship's shields flared and died, and its hull cracked open like an egg. "All fighters, launch immediately," Rodriguez ordered. "Phoenix Squadron, target the destroyers. Falcon Squadron, provide cover for the bombers." Lieutenant Park's voice crackled over the communication system. "Roger that, Captain." Phoenix Squadron away. 36 human fighters streaked away from the Thunderstrike's launch bays, their pilots eager for battle. The small ships were vastly outnumbered, but they had advantages the Shadowclaw had never encountered. Human pilots were trained to think independently, to adapt and improvise. Shadowclaw tactics rely on rigid formations and predictable responses. Evasive maneuvers, Rodriguez ordered as enemy fire began to fill the space around them. Don't let them pin us down. The Thunderstrike danced through space like a ship a tenth its size, its pilot using every trick learned in years of combat. Enemy plasma bolts sizzled past the hull as Rodriguez's crew returned fire with devastating precision. Each shot from the ship's main weapons was calculated to inflict maximum damage on the enemy formation. "Direct hit on enemy cruiser 4, reported the weapons officer. "She's venting atmosphere." Phoenix leader to Thunderstrike, came Lieutenant Park's voice over the communication system. "We've taken out 3 destroyers, but we're taking heavy casualties. I've lost 6 fighters." Rodriguez felt each loss like a physical blow, but he couldn't afford to let emotion cloud his judgment. "All fighters, fall back to defensive positions. We'll handle the heavy ships." The battle raged for 2 hours as the Thunderstrike faced the entire Shadowclaw fleet. The human ship's superior technology and crew training began to tell as enemy vessels exploded one by one. But the aliens kept coming, their remaining ships pressing the attack with desperate fury. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage to the forward sections," reported Commander Mitchell. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. "Damage control teams, seal those breaches," Rodriguez ordered. "Chief Williams, I need more power to the weapons." "Sir, I'm giving you everything I've got," came the reply from engineering. "These engines are running on prayers and spare parts." Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. 15 enemy ships remained, but they were closing in for the kill. The Thunderstrike had fought magnificently, but the odds were finally catching up with them. "All remaining fighters, concentrate on the enemy flagship," he ordered. "If we can take out their command ship, the others might break off." Lieutenant Park's voice was tight with determination. "Copy that, Captain. Phoenix Squadron, form up on me. We're going in." The surviving human fighters dove toward the massive Shadowclaw command vessel, their weapons blazing. Enemy point defense fire filled space around them, but the pilots pressed their attack with suicidal courage. 3 more fighters died in the assault, but their sacrifice allowed the bombers to reach their target. The enemy flagship shuddered under the impact of human torpedoes, its shields flaring and failing. Rodriguez saw his chance and ordered all weapons to target the wounded vessel. The Thunderstrike's rail gun spoke again, and the Shadowclaw command ship broke apart in a brilliant explosion. "Enemy fleet is breaking off," reported the tactical officer. "Remaining ships are retreating." Rodriguez allowed himself a moment of relief before turning to the next crisis. "Medical teams, prepare for mass casualty evacuation. Communications, try to contact the colony." The reply came immediately, weak but clear. "Thunderstrike, this is Administrator Santos of New Harmony Colony. We're still here, barely. Thank you for coming." "Ma'am, this is Captain Rodriguez. We're sending down medical teams and supplies. How many casualties do you have?" "Too many to count," came the reply. "But thanks to you, there will be survivors to count them." Over the next several hours, the Thunderstrike's crew worked tirelessly to help the colonists. Medical teams treated thousands of wounded civilians. Engineers helped repair the colony's life support systems. Marines secured the area against any remaining Shadowclaw forces. Rodriguez stood in the colony's command center, looking at Administrator Santos with deep respect. The woman had held her people together through the darkest hours, never giving up hope even when hope seemed impossible. "How did you know to come?" she asked. "We heard your distress call," Rodriguez replied. "Every human ship monitors the emergency frequencies. When civilians are in danger, we come running." Santos nodded, tears in her eyes. "I thought we were alone. I thought no one would hear us." "Ma'am, as long as there are humans in this galaxy, "No one fights alone," Rodriguez said firmly. "That's a promise we made long ago, and it's one we intend to keep." As the Thunderstrike prepared to leave Sirian 7, Rodriguez looked back at the colony one last time. New Harmony was damaged but not broken. The colonists would rebuild, as humans always did. They would remember this day not as the day they were defeated, but as the day they learned that someone was always listening, always ready to help. In the depths of space, other ships had heard the battle. Pirates and slavers who preyed on isolated colonies now knew that humanity's protection extended far beyond Earth's solar system. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. When you attack human civilians, you don't face one ship or one colony. You face them all.